Welcome to New Horizons in Chinese Philosophy. This is Lecture 11. In this lecture, we are going to discuss Xunzi. Xunzi is the last Confucianist in the classical period. From the previous lectures, we know that Mencius tried to defend his faith in Confucianism against Moism and Daoism. When it comes to Xunzi, what we see is a total war against all the enemies, including Mencius. Like Mencius, Xunzi also participated in the activities of the Jixia Academy. He is active in the intellectual debates and responsive to other currents of thought. What is striking about Xunzi is that he does not only debate with external enemies, but also with those within the Confucian school. He thinks that those people weaken and pervert the Confucius' true message. Xunzi was born in the northern state of Zhao. He was an active member of the Jixia Academy. He held the position of libationer. A libationer is a person who pours wine as a sacrifice to the deity. Xunzi left the state of Qi as King Min of Qi, forced many accommodations into exile. He once was in service of the powerful leader of the state of Chu, Lord Chunshen. He stayed in the state of Zhao for some time. He also paid a visit to the state of Qin. In the state of Qin, the famous legalist minister, Lord Shang, was pushing forward the reforms. Xunzi was not more successful than Mencius in his career as a statesman. Nevertheless, he had two notable disciples, Li Si and Han Feizi. They were both pillars of legalism. The book of Xunzi reads clear, eloquent, and trenchant. There seems to be a mind of considerable intellectual power and strong self-confidence. Xunzi held a deep feeling for the Li as holy right and a burning indignation against the corruptions of the age. Now, let's discuss the first question, human nature. It is apparently the case that Xunzi is in an opposing position to Mencius regarding the issue of human nature. Mencius maintains that human nature is good, whereas Xunzi claims that human nature is evil. However, we need to see that the proposition human nature is evil by no means sums up Xunzi's conception of man any more than the proposition the nature is good sums up Mencius' philosophical anthropology. Xunzi's view is no less complex than that of Mencius. It includes those crucial terms we have found in Mencius. For instance, the qi, the sense organs, the heart or mind, the will, 智, and the emotions. There are some terms in Xunzi which are not stressed in the Mencius. Xunzi negates any inborn spontaneous tendency toward humanity and righteousness within the human heart. He denies that the objective structure of morality, which is embedded in the tradition of Li and righteousness, could have derived from any moral propensity innate in the human organism. Xunzi seems to refer to something more dynamic when he speaks of man's propensity to evil. He agrees with Mencius that evil arises in the area of man's contacts through his senses with the outer world. In Mencius, the disorder arises somewhere in the area of interaction between the perceptions and the world of objects out there. In Xunzi, the dynamic impulse of boundless desire seems to arise from within. Quote, when man is born, he has desires. If he cannot obtain what he desires, he must seek to satisfy them, and in his seeking, there is no measure or limit. End quote. It is assumed that nature has a limited capacity to satisfy human desires. The human desires have no clear limit. As a result, strife must arise among men. In Mencius, men's terror and confusion in the face of an untamed external nature incline them to the evil. Their innate propensity to goodness is overwhelmed by feelings of fear and insecurity. This could upset the inner balance of the qi. When their material environment is improved by the sages, they may still be led astray by their appetites and indolence, and may still require teaching despite their innate goodness. However, Xunzi sets out not from the helplessness of men in the state of nature, but from their unbridled and fierce desires. It is this realm of the passions and desires that the word nature, 性, with its implication of spontaneity and unreflective directionality, applies to. There are differences among men in terms of their temperamental bents. Xunzi associates these differences with the imbalances of qi. This makes some temperaments hard and assertive, others sluggish and indolent. But basically, they are all bent by nature on satisfying their limitless desires. Mencius nature may be understood as the natural tendency of the heart on its unreflective level. Xunzi's 心 by no means comes into the world directed by innate moral propensities. Maybe it can be construed as mind in English. What mind encompasses is a precious intellectual capacity. This is a capacity that may or may not be exercised to acquire knowledge. It may or may not be used to deliberate, reflect, and achieve conscious goals. The mind is the very center of human intentional acts. Knowledge is one of Mencius' 4 virtues. It has roots in the spontaneous tendencies of the heart. It manifests itself ideally as man's intuitive ability to make correct moral judgments. If a man has a will to the good on a more deliberative level of his heart or mind, he will be able to accumulate acts of righteousness by his unflagging determination to be just. In 荀子, capacity does not refer to an immediately available intuitive knowledge. Rather, it is a capacity for acquiring experience and reasoning about experience. It demands constant cumulative acts of mental exertion. The center of gravity in dealing with mind lies in the process of learning. This is a category which receives only minimal attention in Mencius. 荀子 does not agree with Mencius that, quote, the fact that man learns is due to the goodness of his nature, unquote. According to 荀子, the determination to learn can draw on no inner propensity other than the capacity to learn itself. This does not only include the capacity to accumulate empirical knowledge, but also the power to think and reason. The ancient sage kings Yao and Shen were not a little bit better in their natures than other models. Quote, that wherein the sages are the same as the mass of men and not different from them is their nature. That wherein they differ from unsurpassed mass of men is in their deliberate action, unquote. In Mencius, what differentiates the sage is the heart within the heart. The major heart is actually capable of deliberate determination to act. This is essentially the determination to do good. This determination is able to draw immediate support from the deepest tendencies of human nature. However, the deliberate action of 荀子 sages and noblemen involves sheer intellectual effort. It is a determination to learn how to rescue both themselves and other human beings from the miseries of the chaos and strife that result from their insatiable and conflicting interests. The sage uses his intellect to bring the change in the world. He works as an artisan who regards his own nature and that of others as a raw material to be shaped and constrained in order to produce the finished artifact. So, the artisan must study both the properties of raw materials and the rules governing the practice of his art. He does not suppose that the artifact grows organically out of its raw material. The artisan is like Gaozi's carpenter who cuts the willow wood to make bows. 荀子 thinks that civilization is indeed a great artifice, 大伟. It is a glory. This is an attack on Mencius as well as on Laozi.